I'm absolutely done with Sweet Caroline.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
It's become
Couldn't agree more.
When a meme becomes really popular and somehow without you noticing, the only people sharing it are brands.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Football Ramble Mailbag. The FA Cup, football traditions and Jamie Redknapp are the orders of today. It's Saturday 6th of January. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Jim Campbell.
And I'm still Luke Moore.
Saturday, what a day. Rocking all week with you, everybody. My goodness, here we are. It's mailbag time. And of course, if you want to get involved with the mailbag, you can tweet us on X at Football Ramble, message us on Instagram at Football Ramble, and of course, email us, show@footballramble.com. Some people have done this, Jim. Why don't you have a dip in the bag and see who's got in touch with us?
I'll have a little rustle, and what I have pulled out is from Dom. Dom says, if you could change one thing about the FA Cup, what would it be?
Ooh. It's a good question. And the FA Cup obviously needs to be preserved, needs to be looked after. It's an incredible competition, but I also understand that it needs to move with the times and become as modern and as exciting as it can be. I think there's a couple of things I would do if you'll let me. The first one is that I would always have the lower ranked team at home.
Do you know what? This is very similar to what I was going to suggest.
So the Coupe de France does it.
Yeah.
The Coupe de France does it, I think, if the team is more than one division above the lower ranked team.
Yeah.
The lower ranked team then gets to be at home.
But you never see PSG fly off to like the reunion island or anything, do you?
No, because it's regionalised to start with, isn't it?
Imagine that.
I mean, that would just be, I'm not sure that would be possible.
I would change that about the Coupe de France, but that's not the question.
Yeah.
But I think... So and the kind of reason for the first one is it kind of bleeds into to my second one, and the reason is obvious. I mean, it makes it more jeopardicious for the viewer and for the bigger team, and I think it's also a good opportunity for lower ranked teams to actually have a bit of a say and get involved in lots of areas of football are now so unthinkably far away from a lot of clubs, thinking like the Champions League, the ability to compete in the Premier League, that this is a way of perhaps giving them a slightly better chance. And if you look at, I know that in the Coupe de France, which is the kind of blueprint for this, it hasn't really mattered that much in terms of the fact that, the facts are that, Paris Saint-Germain won 6 of the last 9, the current holders are Toulouse, but we have seen some really kind of strange and unfancied teams in the final of the Coupe de France. I can't pronounce any of them, but Les Herbiers from the third level, Auxerre when they're in the second level, Quevilly lost to Lyon in 2012. So it has had a benefit. And I just think what you need to do with competitions when there's so much football around, without being gimmicky, you need to give people a reason to kind of invest in it. And although I do want to protect and preserve the traditions of the FA Cup as much as possible, but certain things have been changed already. We don't have 5 million replays. We don't always have extra time and stuff now. So it can be changed around the edges to make it a little bit more palatable. I think this will be another step towards doing that. And, if I may... The final thing I would do...
So just quickly, this is a different thing you're going to change, or is it to do with what you've just said?
It's similar.
So before we move on, so with regards to lower ranked side, is it any lower ranked side if they're a division below?
No, what I would do is at the time the draw is made, if you are 12th in the Premier League and you're drawing against 11th in the Premier League, you're at home.
Right, okay.
At all times. Now, I know there could be I thought about this and I thought, what happens if they throw a couple of Premier League games to get further down to get a home draw? People aren't going to do that. It's not going to realistically happen. So I think you could probably extend it to that kind of idea. That way, if you're Man City, you find you've got a really good chance of winning the FA Cup every season. You're playing every single game away from home. It just makes it a little bit more interesting.
To me, the suggestion I was going to say with regard to that was, if you're in the same division, I think whatever comes out of the hat, that is it. If you're a league below, you actually get the choice if you want to play at home or away. Obviously, if you're
because of gate receipts and stuff,
because of gate receipts, but also again, if you're a non-league side or you're even a League Two side, you might actually really want to play at Anfield or Old Trafford or something.
Well, so then get a draw in your first game at home.
Yeah,
surely.
Yeah, but that's a yeah. I mean, that's the current setup, Jim. Yes, of course. But no, I think that's.
So do you think
I would like them to have the choice?
So the famous game. Well, it's not famous to us that you went to, which is Farnborough played Arsenal away.
Yeah,
and they lost 5. Was it 5-1? They lost.
It was 5-1, yeah.
Would you think that looking back on that, I know you're not a Farmer Town fan, but looking back on it as someone who lived in there at the time and obviously who went to watch it, is that a bigger memory now to them because it was at Highbury than it would have been if they'd been at home and had a better chance of winning?
It's difficult to say because obviously the latter didn't happen. But there was something about on the train platform that morning, and we thought we'll get up there really early. Well, the whole town thought they'd get up there really early.
Right,
Everyone was on that platform at 11 a.m. and the kickoff was about 3.
Yeah.
Everyone was there. And, obviously everyone's trying to buy a shirt and so on. I think I've still got my Farmer Town shirt. It was like a pilgrimage almost, and it was sensational. It was so good. It would have still been good if Arsenal turn up, but there is something about going I'm more thinking for the players though. They play in that stadium all the time. That's their home ground. But to go to one of the big sides, I just think it's so special. But what would be really interesting would be how would they decide that? Would you? And I know that would open a can of worms, because the manager might say, "No, we're going to play them at home," and all the players are like, "Oh, come on," So it might actually be an unwanted decision if you're going to bring that in for some of the clubs. But I'm pretty sure the hierarchy at lower league clubs and so on would be very, very happy to have a say in that.
I think something to think about as well is in terms of a broader perspective on the competition. I'm thinking about games when Spurs went to Marine a couple of years ago, and you could see people's back gardens like at the side of the pitch and that sort of stuff. We all kind of want that to happen, right? We all definitely want that to happen. I think there's nothing wrong with doing something that people want to see happen and sort of ingraining it in the rules. So to sort of support this idea, you kind of guarantee the glamour there. You guarantee those like really, really strange situations where you have a very professional team in a very amateur setting and it all looks a bit mad and it all looks a bit weird.
That's what Luke's
we want
advocating.
it. Well, that's what I mean. And we want that to happen. And this idea would get closer to guaranteeing it. Probably would be a financial benefit to the clubs. If they could absolutely, ram out those allocations.
So that's what I was going to go on to and say that I would say that you could possibly introduce a rule that says, and it could be part of the bidding process to have the rights to televise it to be a broadcast partner. If it's a non-league team against, say, 2 divisions higher than them, I mean, the game has to be televised.
Yeah,
and there's a few reasons for that. The main ones would be that then they get the money that we talked about. They would get television money, which obviously would be massively beneficial for them, which evens the playing field financially a tiny bit more. And the second is that the spirit of the FA Cup is exactly what Jim's alluded to there. This is found in the Premier League or higher level teams having to play on a difficult pitch with a load of people standing around really close, preferably under floodlights, as we've talked about. It gives you a little bit of respite from the endless price of everything, value of nothing idea that football has become. And the FA Cup is really the reason that the FA Cup has been it's hard to decide whether it's been cheapened or not, but I think given the list of winners, perhaps it hasn't been cheapened quite as much as people say, but I think it certainly has been cheapened. The reason for that is because the people who make big decisions don't see the value in it. They see what this is doing is getting in the way of the Champions League or the Premier League.
Or the Club World Cup.
Or the Club World Cup.
Still harking back to when Manchester United.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that happened in, 2000 that wasn't it?
It was ages ago.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some things are as popular as they are as important as they are, whether they're sport or any other area of culture in life, because they're valuable to people. Yeah. You can't put a price value on it. You can't put a price on it. It's just there because people like it. Yeah. And to preserve that is a really, really important thing. It's the oldest cup competition in the world. It does get booted around a bit like it's a kind of political thing. Oh, and when we're going to squeeze the games in, don't forget there's the FA Cup. It's like, well, the FA Cup was around long before all this stuff. Yeah. And we need to value that and preserve it as much as we can.
Well, my other suggestion was going to be kick the non-league teams out and not let them enter it. Jim, what was your suggestion?
Mine would be to stop the semis being at Wembley. It annoys me every year.
But it's happened. It's happened throughout the ages. This has happened.
Oh yeah, but not permanently. And the idea now is that the semis are permanently at Wembley. At first, it was floated as it would be. We need to pay off Wembley, so the semis will be there for a bit. Now it's officially forever.
91, Spurs beat Arsenal at Wembley.
Yeah, but that was because there were 2 London teams, so it was harder to find a neutral ground.
True, but 93, both Sheffield sides were there.
Similar situation. They used to play the semis at Kennington Oval, which I'd sort of be up for, to be honest.
I see what you're doing,
Or maybe move it to a court of a different sport. I don't
Chelsea
know, but,
Newcastle was at Wembley in 1990.
yeah, but these were all compromised.
But you're just listing games that are at Wembley. It doesn't matter. No one's denying they happened.
Yeah.
He's just saying he doesn't want it.
What I'm saying is the neutrality of games being at Villa Park or where else. It's also very London centric now that everyone has to schlep down to Wembley if they're not London based.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's far more entertaining, far more interesting if the Premier Cup competition in the country travels around a bit, those games, there's so much brilliant history to them. There's so many brilliant grounds around the country that aren't just Wembley.
But surely all the rounds before that.
There are, and I think keep that going until the final. It makes Wembley a lot more special.
But Jim,
you have to get to the final.
But we've spoken about this before, and I said that actually, when you, I understand the point you make. It's not one I lose any sleep over personally. I do like the idea that you go to Wembley for the semi, and it's kind of like right, and then you get to go back for the final.
Why so?
Just because I think you reach a semi-final, and it's like right, here's a taste of the biscuit kind of thing.
The final itself is the taste of the biscuit, though.
It's a different angle towards it. In 2015, when Reading got to the semi-final, they got to play at Wembley. How often does a team of that profile, that size, get to play at Wembley? At least it opens it up for more teams to experience.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think that is great. It should be a huge achievement to reach a final, and not everybody gets to have a brilliant day out if they don't get to the final. I think that's fine.
Semi-final at the Millennium Stadium for old time's sake.
I did like it that it was at Villa Park and Highbury, and I remember being at the Liverpool Everton semi-final a number of years ago and thinking this is kind of a piss take that they're having to come all the way down here for this, especially given they're not teams that are strangers.
They should have gone to Old Trafford, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they could have, or have it at Goodison Park.
Yeah,
because Everton was a lower ranked side.
There we are, all the way to the final. Yeah. All right, you've convinced me.
But the FA Cup is important, and we should.
It's very important.
We want to kind of make sure we're improving it, but we're not treading all over the tradition of it.
That's right. Speaking of traditions, everybody, this is from Mike Gilliatt on Instagram. What otherwise popular football traditions or cultures would you like to see banned for 2024? The FA Cup.
Yeah, should have done that one first.
Should have done that one first.
If I may dive in on this, it may be controversial, may upset a few squares. I am absolutely
That's what
done.
you're all about, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm absolutely done with Sweet Caroline.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
It's become when a meme becomes really popular, and somehow, without you noticing, the only people sharing it are brands.
Yeah,
it's just lost what made it.
And then about 6 months after that, I start sharing it.
I know you're really upset.
Yeah, it does.
It goes full circle, and it becomes funny again.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You don't have to explain it. I'm totally on board. I think it's also now, worryingly and frighteningly bled into all sorts of different situations now.
It's not just football anymore, is it? It's all sport.
I was in a pub.
Anything with a crowd.
I was in a pub not that long ago. I want to say maybe autumn time, and at the end of the night, they just played Sweet Caroline.
Yeah,
and everyone got involved.
Would you prefer New York, New York?
No, 500 miles.
I prefer the national anthem, thank you very much.
There we are. That is the correct
The night's over. Curtains drawn.
Yeah.
Good night, see you tomorrow.
That's right.
For boiled beef and cabbage.
There we go.
I think Jim's right. I think it's not even the best Neil Diamond song. I think it's...
Is that the issue?
It's for me.
Yeah, well.
What do you think about it?
I think it should be, if you are going to do it, it should be saved for very, very, very special occasions. Which, a bit like playing our final at Wembley, incredibly rare, but that's the point.
Do we want Sweet Caroline to be blasting out at Wembley after England have won 1-0 at home to North Macedonia?
Yeah, well, they don't do that.
They play it all the time now, don't they?
Also, it was 7-0 at Old Trafford, not at Wembley.
Well, you know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Yeah. This show isn't a vehicle for you to correct everyone for half an hour.
Isn't it?
No, unfortunately not. That's the main ramble.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I think that, I wouldn't lose too much sleep if Sweet Caroline left. But as I say...
He's sleeping soundly at the moment, isn't he? He keeps mentioning that.
I'm very much not. But, if it's played on a very special occasion, then fine. But, when England... A better example would be when England beat Italy 3-1 and qualified for the Euros. And then they played it.
Bust it out then.
And it was kind of like, nah, come on.
Do you like it being the unofficial England anthem, though? I don't really like it. I prefer Three Lions or Vindaloo or something. But that's because we're old, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But I think I do want there to be space for something new to come along. And obviously Sweet Caroline is an example of something new coming along because for whatever reason it's caught on and it is anthemic. But I think I just feel I'm sort of oversaturated by it as well. And there's a strange phenomenon with tradition and how something can quickly become a tradition and people then seem to sort of retrospectively think it's always been there. It's like panettone at Christmas.
Yeah.
I've had panettone for about 15 years.
That's
people are writing it into a Christmas carol now as if it's always been
No
there.
one even knew what it was.
Exactly.
Before
And Sweet Caroline feels a bit like that.
But to play devil's advocate here, that's how they start, isn't it? In 50 years' time, if people are still singing Sweet Caroline, if England win a big tournament or something, people are going to go, oh, that's always been around, because to them it has.
Indeed.
What we're doing, we're in the vanguard of a new tradition being started, and we're the kind of Grandpa Simpson shaking our fist at it.
Yeah, yelling at a cloud.
And it is a bit like football chants. We always used to think that football chants, no, they sound like this. And then when people started using pop tunes, which they do now, of course, well, that's rubbish. It wasn't pop tunes before. No, actually, it was hymns, or it was pop tunes. It was basically whatever melodies were available at the time. You know, that's what they used. And you kind of go, oh, I see. So really, when you do a pop tune, which is turned into a football chant, it is just the same thing.
But there's also an entertainmentification of football, isn't there? In terms of the great example to use would be when England played Germany in Euro '96 at Wembley. The TV build-up for about 8 or 9 minutes, I think it is, and you can watch it on YouTube, which is it's an eternity in TV broadcasting. 8 or 9 minutes. They just pan back and cross the crowd.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all they're doing. And there's chants coming up here. There's people over there having a drink, and that's what it was. And I think then that was enough.
Yeah.
And now it feels like music has to be played in the build.
You've got to be spoon-fed everything.
Yeah,
if you watch old films, I said this before, I think I watched Dial M for Murder a couple of years ago, and it's amazing how music is not deployed in the same way with some of those older films.
Yeah.
Because the music is basically like, now you should feel like this, and now you should feel this emotion.
Yeah, okay.
And actually Barry Davis, to bring it back to football with football commentary, he always used to bemoan what he called the new style of commentary, of which was, pre-written lines. I mean, pre-written lines are not necessarily bad, because perhaps old Basher D used some of them. Sure. I don't know if he did or not, but it's the idea that somebody scores and immediately, and that's his third goal of the season, and that's it, blah, 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 and you feel it, you feel that noise, you feel that moment with chat. Not always a bad thing. I don't want to be too beardy about this, but Barry Davis said, a great goal goes in and then you just stand back and let it breathe.
Yeah.
His commentary, the ultimate example for me was the Dennis Bergkamp goal. I know people love the Dutch commentary for good reason, but I love Barry Davis's commentary as well for that. Beautifully knocked down by Bergkamp. Oh, what a goal!
That's it.
That's it. That's all he said.
Pure emotion.
Didn't say his fourth goal of the tournament. And if he did, that's not a bad thing. But
do it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we've gone way off piece here.
I do think there's an interesting point, if I may drag it back to the idea of the Euro 96 build-up, just showing the crowd. I think that's interesting because it's a representation of the atmosphere, right? This is what's happening at this occasion. It might seem sort of small, but it is a true reflection of what it was actually like to be in that stadium.
And I wonder if that builds up. I wonder if that follows on from what we were talking about before. I think a number of weeks ago on this show, we talked about how back in the day, people were... if you were at the game, that was the pinnacle. And so basically the TV broadcast for the Euro 96 semi-final was a bit like, we know you can't be at the game, so this is what it's like at the game. Whereas now I think the TV appointment of you is its own thing, perhaps. And when I was at just very quickly before I move on to my one, when I was at the semi-final in the Euros against Denmark, I was behind one of the goals, and that song did come up kind of organically a number of different times. It's clearly something that the England fans have taken to their heart. And
it's like Seven Nation Army, isn't it? Sometimes these things are just really organic.
And a lot of England fans do travel a long old way, very often to go and do this kind of thing. So it's not really for us, I guess. Yeah. Mine would probably be, it's come up time and time again. We've mentioned it before. I do think it's a little bit I just cringe whenever I see it now. It's just the old, when the player scores and he does the old hands, I'm not celebrating, stay away from me, I'm not very happy about scoring. You are happy to score. Yeah, everyone understands. Yeah. Although, admittedly, some fans are dickheads about it. But you're going to, the point is that if you're going to be a player who scores against a club you've played for, that's no different to just really, to the fans' point of view, they already hate you because you're already playing against them. Yeah. They don't want you to leave. They want you to be there still. Yeah. I just think it's a very, very kind of...
But I mean, when Henrik Larsson scored for Barcelona against Celtic, he scored and he just ran back to the halfway line. Yeah. that's fine because some people like Michael Elise don't celebrate.
Goals
when
generally,
he
yeah.
often scores. I mean, he's getting in a little bit into it now. He's thinking, do you know what? This is actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I think if you score and then you respectfully kind of maybe hold back a little bit, but the apology,
because it's almost a bit like, well, what are you actually trying to say? You're trying to say that I really like the club I've just scored against, but not enough to stay. And
Depends on the circumstances of them leaving.
I admit I shouldn't be doing my job, but I am. So sorry about that.
Yeah,
it's weird.
indeed. My one.
Do the Adebayor. Get up the other end as quick as you can.
I don't like to see managers shaking hands immediately after the game like they do because I think
that's a curveball.
Well, I think it stifles a manager's celebration.
I think there's something nice about it.
And I don't. I think it is a tradition. It's obviously not a rule. You don't have to do it.
Tuchel and Conte, we wouldn't have that without it.
Yeah. Well,
I think life would find a way.
yeah. They might cross paths.
I just, like imagine if Mourinho felt duty bound to shake Guardiola's hand at the end of that semi-final, right? He'd have actually, I'm off the. Oh, no, there we are. Right, I'm on the pitch now. You see.
So the question was actually, what otherwise popular football traditions or cultures would you like to see banned? For 2024.
Managers
so are you talking about banning them from shaking hands? How would they respond to that?
Yeah,
You're not allowed to do it now.
Yeah, so they would maybe do the elbow or fist pump.
I forgot about the elbow.
Hug.
Yeah, I think the elbow was really good. I think that was one of the things over COVID that improved society. But we've gone back to handshakes now.
No, the fist bump stuck around, didn't it?
Yeah.
The fist bump's a lot more prevalent.
But
now.
wouldn't you love to see a manager like Steve Bruce in the FIFA game when he runs on the pitch? They can't do it because they have to go. Full-time whistle goes, yay! Oh, I shake hand, yeah, shake hand. I want to see more raw emotion from the manager at full-time, and I would ban the time of. Well, it's not a ban. I would change when post-match interviews happen. So, like, as they're all jumping around and so on, let them have a bit of emotion. Then, like in Brazil, microphone straight in the face.
Yeah.
Imagine the content you'd get.
Do you remember that Brazilian clip where they interviewed a dog that would run on the pitch?
But you see a goal scorer scores. I don't know if they do this now, but he'll score. There was one example years ago where he's kind of full stretch scores and sort of slides past the goal in celebration. And as he sort of pops his head up, there's about 10 mics around him. How does it feel to score the goal?
That's great.
Yeah.
In cricket now, you've got certain cricket competitions, you've got players mic'd up.
Yeah.
And there's a classic one of Shane Warne, the late Shane Warne, bless him, when he was playing in, I think it's T20 or whatever it was, Big Bash or something. And it's absolutely fascinating. You can watch it on YouTube. So he bowls a ball down. He was a spin bowler, so different variation of delivery. He bowled one down, and the commentator goes, "Oh, what were you thinking on with that one?" He went, "Well, I thought about this, and I thought I'd just do that."
Yeah, but that cricket lens, and Shane Warne.
And the next one, he goes, "I just change it up a bit, do this," and he just gets a wicket. There you go, mate. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, dear.
So I think on the handshake thing though, if it's a Commonwealth Garden 2-0 win for Arsenal at home to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Realistic. I mean, that's just a poor example.
No, but we'd find out which managers had beef with each other as well.
Yeah, I think they put it to one side for a minute, don't they?
I know, and I don't like it.
Yeah, fair enough.
More beef, please.
What about this? Let's end with this today. This story came up on the Discord, which you can access by being a Football Ramble patron by going to patreon.com/Football Ramble. You can be a part of it. R. Sheridan99 told this story in there, which I thought would be perfect for the mailbag. He's a friend of the Ramble after all, so he gets mailbag privileges. He said, I once faced Jamie Redknapp at table tennis.
My goodness.
He came to our work to do some promotion of the BT Sport launch a few years ago, and he spotted the obligatory table tennis table and casually asked, who's the best player around here then? Turns out we had a company-wide competition that I'd recently won, so I was invited to play. He was pretty good. So I did wonder whether footballers get a lot of time to practice or whether natural athleticism ends up taking you quite far in a game like table tennis. Either way, I beat him 21-17.
Oh, big win.
He threw an 8-2 lead away and had no answer to my barrage of defensive slices. Though he was very gracious in defeat and all my colleagues were impressed with me, so everyone was a winner, really. I just thought it was quite interesting. You go into work that day, much like, when Jeff Goldblum goes into the office on Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't expect the day he's going to have, does he?
No, he doesn't realise his laptop can unlock the defences of an alien.
Well, that's later on. That's later on.
Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah. At the start, it's just a normal day, is what I'm saying.
That's a normal day.
That's what a disaster movie starts like.
Yeah.
R. Sheridan99 did not go into work that day thinking, I'm going to basically have the best, respectfully to him, the best sporting moment of my life, probably, today in the office against ex-Liverpool player Jamie Redknapp.
Ex-Liverpool in England.
And there you go.
Southampton.
He's an impressive specimen, Jamie Redknapp. I've met him.
You've
He's
been
very
in his
tall.
house.
I've been in his house. I maintain I'm probably the only person in the world who's been to Jamie Redknapp's house and fallen in a canal. It's very likely.
Did you spot a table tennis table?
I can't say I remember that. It's got a very big, lovely house, very monochrome, obviously. So maybe it was just blending in.
Could have done. Or push a button, it comes out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, we've played football with a couple of ex-pros. That would be really it. But they were, not sort of played darts against Tom Kearney or something like that.
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
It would be.
There's your next feature. There's your next Patreon exclusive.
I love that.
You would be, presumably you'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Would he be good? I reckon he'd be really quite good.
Of course he'd be good, wouldn't he?
Yeah, they all are, aren't they?
I mean, what he would do is he'd throw the dart up and then just tap the...
Imagine if he was throwing every dart with his left foot. Just had the dart perched on his left foot, just flicked it into the board.
I would encourage him to do that because that one can do anything.
It can.
Yeah.
Could be horrible, though, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Like lacrosse with Joey Barton. What a shit experience that would be.
That's true.
Anything with Joey Barton.
Or darts with Michael Owen.
Or lacrosse in any way.
Yeah.
Michael Owen would chuck the darts in and go, well, you didn't move.
He didn't, exactly. Stuck it in someone's leg.
That's true. Yeah.
You weirdo, you didn't move when I threw a dart at you.
Michael Owen to kill Joey Barton with darts.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you've ever beaten a footballer at another sport, do let us know. Show at footballramble.com or at Football Ramble on X. And of course, if you want to join the Ramble Discord community, become a friend of the Ramble, head over to patreon.com/Football Ramble. There we are. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble Mailbag. Pleasure to have you with us. We're back on Monday with a brand new Ramble, of course. See you then.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.